Hey, in today's video, I'm going to show you the very first lesson for the absolute beginner bass guitar player. If you're playing for the very first time, make sure you check out this lesson all the way to the end. Hey, it's James here from eBassGuitar. So the most important thing whenever I'm starting out with a new student who's never touched the bass guitar before is to get them grooving and playing along with a band or backing track straight away. And that's exactly what we're going to do this lesson. So before we hit the lesson content today, I'd love to know what's your biggest challenge, or what was your biggest challenge when you started out playing the bass guitar. Make sure you let me know in the comments below. So today we're going to be working with a track called the Funk Station, which is part of my Absolute Beginner's Bass course, which can be found in the Bass Lab Plus membership at eBassGuitar.com. And this course is all about helping the absolute beginner hit the ground running and discover exactly what the role of the bass is in the band straight away. So the bass has two roles. It has a rhythmic role and it has a harmonic role. And I'm going to show you how to develop or start developing both of those today. So to begin with, all I want you to do is play an open E on the bass guitar. And to do that, I want you to place your thumb on the pickup like so, and literally just stroke back into your thumb like that. And use as much of the flesh of the finger as possible so you get a big, fat, round sound. And that is the basis of the technique called fingerstyle, which we use on the bass guitar. So when I said the phrase harmonic roll earlier, that comes from the word harmony, and that's all about playing the right notes on the bass guitar. And the great thing about this track, the Funk Station, is an open E will work all the way through. So that is our starting point. Next thing we need to look at is the rhythmic element. And what I want you to do is play anything rhythmically to begin with, but I want you to focus in and lock in with a pulse and feel that beat within you, and that will be our starting place. So let me demonstrate what I mean. I'm literally just going to play an open E now, and I'm going to play the rhythm wherever I feel it. So believe it or not, just by playing the open E and playing the rhythm wherever you feel it, you are fulfilling the role of the bass player in the band perfectly, and also having a ton of fun in the process. Now it's time to refine that. I'm going to take you through 5 rhythmic ideas so you can start developing your sense of rhythm and time. I'm going to write these out in a free PDF, which you can download from a link in the description below. So idea number 1 is I simply want you to play a long 4-beat note throughout the whole of the bar and count it out like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. And that note is placed on beat 1. This is very simple and very straightforward, but don't underestimate the simplicity of this, because you'll hear so many great bass players playing exactly this, and it's highly, highly effective. So let's hear what it sounds like with the backing track. So remember to count it out and feel the pulse. The next one is idea number 2, where we're literally going to play 2-beat notes on beats 1 and 3, which will sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice how I'm moving my body and nodding my head to help me feel the pulse. Let's hear what this sounds like in context. So when you're playing these ideas, I want you to try and split your focus. So 50% of your listening is on your bass part, and the other 50% is listening to the backing track, specifically the drum part. So let's move on to idea number 3. And this is a 2-beat note and 2 1-beat notes. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So gradually getting a little bit more rhythmic. So let's hear what this sounds like with the backing track. So guys, if you're enjoying this lesson, I'd love to ask you to subscribe to the eBassGuitar YouTube lesson, because we release a lesson just like this, designed especially for the beginner to intermediate bass guitar player every single week. There's a red button somewhere around this video so you can be the first to know when we release a new lesson. So idea number 4 sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's simply a 3-beat note placed on beat 1 and then a 1-beat note placed on beat 4 of the bar. So make sure you get your counting going so you can place those notes precisely. Let's hear what this sounds like with the backing track. So for the 5th idea, this is exactly the same as idea number 1, but with one key difference. In the first idea, I asked you to play the note long, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. But this time, I just want you to play one note on the first beat of the bar, but stop it on beat 2. So it sounds like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So to stop the note, all I want you to do is gently rest your fretting or left hand down on the string. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And your hand goes down on beat 2, and that's enough to create the silence. And notice and compare it to the original first idea and listen to how different it sounds. So let's hear what this sounds like in context. So far in this lesson, we've concentrated on the rhythmic role of the bass in the band, and this is super important. But now it's time to look more at the harmonic role. This track, the funk station, is what we call a groove, which is in the key of E. So there's one chord, which is E, and an E bass note will work all the way through. The great thing is we can find this E note in multiple places on the bass guitar. In fact, we can find it on every single string on the bass guitar, and it will work. So I'm going to show you 4 different places you can find the E. So number 1, we've already covered, which is the open E, like so. We can also find an E at the 7th fret on the A string, which is like there. We can also find an E at the 2nd fret on the D string. And we can also find an E at the 9th fret on the G string, like that. And all of these notes are options for us bass players. I'm going to include a fingerboard note diagram which you can get as part of our Bass Players Action Pack. There's a link in the description below where you can grab your free copy. If you look in the resources section of the Bass Players Action Pack, you'll find this diagram which will show you where every single note is on the bass guitar. Now let's put this into action now. So we can take all of the ideas that we've covered in this lesson and play them on each of the different strings. And we can even change which E we're playing within the bar. So to wrap up the lesson, I'm going to show you how this works in context. This is really, really important because it is the first step to really starting understanding how the fingerboard actually fits together and the options we have. So what we can do is we can take all of the rhythmic ideas that we covered earlier and play them on each of the different strings on the 4-string bass. And you can try out and experience how the bass guitar fretboard starts to fit together. This is really, really important and is a really critical thing that if you see an E chord written down, there are multiple places that you can play it on the bass guitar fingerboard. So to demonstrate this, I'm going to show you all the different E's located on the fretboard, and I'm also going to put a slightly different rhythm to it this time. I'm going to play 4 notes per bar, which will sound like this. But notice how all the different E's fit. Then I'm going to start to break out a little bit and improvise with the different rhythmic ideas that we covered earlier in the lesson and start to mix them up a little bit. So guys, that's the end of your very first bass lesson if you're an absolute beginner. If you want to discover more about the concepts that I've covered today, which will get you playing and fulfilling the role of the bass player in a band straight away, make sure you check out the Absolute Beginners Bass course in the Bass Lab Plus membership over at eBassGuitar.com. I'll put a link in the description below so you can take it free for a test drive, completely free for 14 days. Cheers, I've been James from eBassGuitar.com, and please do let me know how you get on with this lesson in the comments below. Cheers, I'll catch you next time.